Hey guys, welcome back. So 2 days ago, we built this small bookcase, children's bookcase, or basically just a small bookcase. Tonight, we're gonna build this hall tree, also for kids or shorter people. We're gonna build this in just a few hours. And I'm gonna keep this video in long format, just basically raw form. So you can watch me build the whole thing and you can build it along with me. I thought about speeding it up, but there's a lot of things in there that you might miss. So I'm just gonna let it play out. If it's too long for you, there is a button, I think it's down here somewhere, like around there, that you can click and you can actually speed up the video up to 2 times faster, if that works for you. Otherwise, it's not that long. If you're building this along with me, it's gonna feel like it's going by like that because I do build it pretty fast. So let's get started. All right, so you should have all your panels cut by now. If you haven't, make sure to get the plans, or you don't have the plans, make sure to get the plans, thewebbranch.com, click on downloads, and this will be the child's hall tree. And then it'll have your cut list in there for all the panels that you need. Here I've got my, what's gonna be the seat, or the top of the base of the hall tree. And then I've got the basically the sides, the bottom, or the sides to back and the bottom of the base. And then over here, I've got the top, sides, and back of the hutch portion of this, okay? So I'm just gonna dry fit everything, make sure I didn't screw anything up. You're gonna notice in this video that, just like the last video, that my plywood is in pretty rough shape. And that's because I accidentally left a delivery out in the yard because I wasn't feeling too good one day. I left it out there and it rained. And then once it rained, I just kind of knew I wasn't going to be using that ply for anything special. So it just kind of sat out there for a few more days. And so it's in pretty bad shape. That's why I'm using it for this. This is not going to be a sales piece. This I'll finish and put in our showroom. And then if it fails over time, I can always fix it. But here's the bottom, okay? Now the bottom is going to take up the whole area of the unit. We're not going to butt joint up here to the sides. We're actually going to put the sides on top here of the base or of the bottom. And we're going to screw it in from the bottom, okay? And then on the back here, the back's gonna fit between the sides. We're gonna butt joint in this way from the sides and then from the underneath here. That way I can keep all of my screw holes underneath, or all my screw heads underneath the unit, or on the sides where I'm gonna be hiding that with trim. So this looks pretty good. Here's our top, or what will be our top. That'll go on here like so. And then we're gonna have 3/4 of an inch of trim here on the side, as well as the front and sides and bottom. So that's gonna fill that out nicely. So that's all good. That all fits. Now for the hutch, here's our hutch top, and here's our sides. So again, we're going to hide our screws by butt joining from the side into the back. Okay? You see just how bad this plywood is. It's super warped. But then our top will go on, and that'll get 3/4 of an inch trim, thick trim, all the way around here in the front, and then we'll attach it at the bottom. Now I know I'm going to attach the top to the hutch with some pocket hole screws. Okay, now unfortunately, I can't hide them all, but what I can do is I can put some of the pocket hole screws here in the back. So I'm just gonna mark them, 1, 2, up to 4 back here. And then to hold the top on the inside, But on the sides, I'm gonna put the pocket holes on the inside. And we'll do 3 there. And that'll be for the hutch, and those will be the only pocket holes that we're drilling into the hutch. Now for the base, let's put it back together. Again, for the base, I'm gonna butt joint the sides, I'm gonna butt joint the back to the bottom. But I'm going to install trim all the way around the bottom or the left, front, and right sides of the bottom of this unit. So I'm gonna wanna come from the underside to screw that trim on. And I'm just going to mark here, these will be on the bottom, okay? There's 1, 2, 4 should do it. We'll glue it as well. So we'll have 4 pocket hole screws here. We'll do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And same here. Okay, and that will go on the bottom to hold our trim on. These, of course, will be butt jointed on. Now, in addition to those pocket hole screws that are going to hold the trim on the front of this, I'm also going to need some pocket hole screws to hold the seat onto the base of this hall tree. And I'm gonna do those from the inside as well. So I'm just gonna mark 1, 2, 3 will probably do it. It's a screw. We'll use 4. They're cheap. 1, 2, 3, 4. And those again will go on the inside, just like so, to hold the top on. Okay? Now on the front side of this unit, we're also gonna have more trim. So I'm also gonna wanna mark where I'm gonna attach the trim here. And I'm gonna do this with pocket holes as well. So we'll go 1, I'm just gonna do 3 here because it's a pretty short span. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if I pull my sides away, you'll see I have pocket hole screws up this way and pocket hole screws up this way. To make sure you're doing it right, you could always put these together this way and you should have pocket holes all the way around, just like that, okay? But they are gonna go opposite of each other, all right? So that's that. Here on the back, we will also put some pocket hole screws to hold on the top, but we'll put those in the back. So 1, 2, I'll use 4 here, 3, 4. It's gonna be on the back side anyways, so no big deal. And now I'm just going to dry fit again and do a gut check, see if I missed anything. Okay, so we have pocket holes for the trim here. We have pocket holes for the trim here, or pocket holes for the top here, pocket holes for the top back here. There will be a piece of trim here at the top as well. Remember, so we'll have one piece of trim hanging over this way, and then I'll have a piece of trim here. And there's no meat. There won't be any meat behind this trim. So what I'm going to do is when I do cut that trim, I'm just going to cut pocket holes in the trim this way, and we will we'll use that to screw it into the other trim that will be here. That way I don't have to put a stringer here between these two pieces. Now I could, or you could, if you wanted to, for a little extra stability or a little more meat to attach these on, if you didn't want to use pocket hole screws or whatnot, you could just put yourself a stringer here that would span the whole width of this carcass. The trim's going to go over anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So you could put a stringer here with pocket holes here. And who knows, as I progress through this thing, I may do it myself. Now that I'm thinking about it, just for a little added strength. but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, it looks like I have all of my pocket holes in place that I'm gonna need. So let's just go ahead and drill all of my pocket holes now. And then we'll give all the panels a sanding before we start assembling, because they'll be kind of difficult to sand once we do assembly. Okay, I'm gonna give my Craig 700 here a little love because I did make a video on it about how much I didn't like it. And I have a feeling that either somebody from Craig or somebody who's a friend of somebody from Craig wrote some nasty comments. So let's give it some love. It does work. I just don't like it as much as the K4. Okay, this is our bottom, okay? This is our bottom panel. And we are drilling pocket holes that are gonna hold on, they're gonna hold the trim to the front of the unit. And if you cross pocket holes, that's okay. See? If you do that, if you cross these pocket holes, that's all right. You may sacrifice a little bit of integrity there, but not a whole lot. I've done this a million times, so. We're drilling these before we sand, for obvious reasons. If I were to sand it now, I would sand off all the pencil marks I made of where these pocket holes were going to go. Okay, there's our bottom, okay? Bottom, this is the front and sides, it'll be like that. So there's our bottom. This is our back, okay? Bottom. Back. Okay, there's one side. Oh, forgot the ones in the front. The ones in the front, remember, they're going to hold on the trim. This is one advantage that this 700 has over the K4 is it's a little faster. You don't have to put down your tool if you don't want to. Okay, there's that. Here is the sides of our hutch. hutch back. You can look right through the holes on this jig to see where you're going. You see your mark on your board there. Okay, so I'm just going to double check I have everything. This is the back of the hutch, side of the hutch, side of the hutch. Here's the side of our base. Back. Pocket holes to the back. All right. That's that. Those are going to go on our base here. And I should have a line of pocket holes there. And I do. So that's it. We're ready to go ahead and assemble this thing. All right, so I'm just going to assemble this a lot like we did the bookcase, the mini bookcase that we built before. I'm doing the right side, or at least the way I'm facing is the right side. Would be your left side. Pocket holes in the front, pocket holes at the top. The back, pocket holes at the top, but in the back. Okay, and it's going to go just like this. It's going to take a little bit of glue here, not a ton. And just like the last one, I'm just going to go corner by corner, perfecting one corner at a time with the brad nailer. If you have done the work to get your saws really tuned in or tuned up and right on the money, then you should just be able to do this on your builds, just working one corner at a time. And then at the end, you won't have to worry too much about things not being square. Especially when you're building drawers. Brad nail that corner. Perfect this bottom corner. And Brad now nail that in. All right, so now I'm just gonna flip this over and we'll take our bottom. All right, here's our bottom. This is gonna be the front, this is gonna be the sides, okay? So I'm gonna come through here like that. Make sure my pocket holes are oriented up. A little bit of glue. And again, I'm just going to work one corner at a time. Come over here and get this corner perfect. Make sure you run your fingers over where those pieces of ply meet. Make sure you don't have any snags. Come up here, do the same on the front. Get as close to perfect as you can. Here comes this back corner. Make sure that's perfect. And then this front corner. And make sure that's perfect. Like I said, if you've done the work to align your saws, you don't have to do a whole lot of work or worry that you're out of square. Perfect, okay? And that's just because I took a good 2 hours, or whatever it took me, I think it was around 2 hours, to really dial in my saw. I got a new saw, by the way. I'll show you guys soon. It's fantastic. I really can't wait to show you guys. I'm still learning it, which is why I haven't done a video on it, because I want to know all the ins and outs, but you're gonna like it. Okay, now I'm just gonna anchor everything in place. I've got a countersink bit here. It drills a, basically what looks like a, I don't know, small, 1/8 inch, maybe 3/16. It's small. Anyways, and then it countersinks. It drills a 3/8 inch hole for a dowel or for a plug, if you want to do that. I'm not going to do that because nobody's going to see this. But I'll just go ahead and I'm going to start anchoring all this in. I made a boo-boo here. I put this one way too close to my pocket hole. So I'll just drill another one. If you want to, you can drill these deeper and actually put plugs in them, but it's going to be on the bottom. So it doesn't really matter. Again, I'm just drilling about 3/8 of an inch in from each side. I'm not going to do this one yet because I feel a little bit of bow in this ply on the back, so I'm going to have to correct that. But I can go ahead and anchor these in. What I'm using here are number 8, type 17. They are long hole. They are combination Phillips square drive. If you haven't or aren't using square drive, you're missing out, guys. Square drive is where it's at. No stripping, no skipping, no nothing. Great screws. These are deep thread screws, by the way. Okay, I've got a bow here in the back of this ply. So what I'm gonna need is a relatively long clamp, and then I've just got a piece of pine here. I'm gonna slip this pine on the inside, and then I'll hold it here, and I'm going to apply pressure with this clamp, and you don't want to be on the ply that's bowed, you want to be on this lip here. And I'm just going to apply pressure with this clamp until I feel that bow flush up with the bottom here. And there it is. Now I can go ahead and anchor these in. If it seems like I'm putting a lot of screws in here, it's because I am. I have 5 kids. I know how they treat furniture. A hall tree. A hall tree is just another name for a fireman's ladder or some other toy that they're gonna pretend it is. And they'll do everything under the sun with it. They'll move it, they'll climb on it, they'll use it to reach things higher. So I try to make these things as sturdy as I can, and that involves using a lot of screws. Screws are cheap. Hurt kids are not cheap. Also, if you don't have one of these impact drills, you're missing out as well. I have a number of cordless drills around here. DeWalt, Cobalt, you name it. But these impact drivers, there's just nothing like them. All right, so here's our base. Go ahead and clean this glue out of here, this extra glue. I'm going to paint this, so I don't really care too much about actually washing the glue residue off, because I'm not going to stain it. But I don't want any visible glue on there. Okay, so there's our base that our top is going to go onto, and we'll go ahead and set this to the side. Okay, now we've got our hutch. Here is the inside. Right? The inside has the pocket holes on the sides. On the back, the pocket holes are in the back. So, if you're facing it, you should not see the pocket holes that are going to hold the top on from the front. But you will see the pocket holes if you were to get down and look up, you would see them there. Okay? So, same thing, just a little bit of glue. Get this corner perfect. You got a bow in here again. I'm going to go ahead and anchor the top and bottom here. I know they're perfect, and I just want to keep them perfect. Make sure that when you set your screws go under or beneath the veneer of this ply, so that you don't have trouble with the trim later when you put it on. You don't have any high spots. I do have a bow in the back of this plywood, but we'll fix that in a minute. For now, I'm going to come to this other side. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, which would be your right side, the left side. A little bit of glue. Pocket holes towards the top. Okay, this bow on the back of this plywood carries over to this side as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to anchor down my top and bottom corners just because I know they're spot on. Now I just got a slight bow here. So since this is going out toward me, actually all I need to do is hook a clamp on the front. And then just apply pressure until I feel that overlap go away. And it's gone away here, but it's still up here. I'm good down there. So I'll anchor it here. Just want to drill in, always. You stay at 3/8 of an inch from the edge. You'll always hit the center of your ply. Help if I drill the hole first. Go down here. Good up here now. So I can go ahead and put the rest of the screws in this side. With this side, same thing. You can probably see it. It's so bowed you can probably see that. I know. Can you see that? Good. 1/16 of an inch right there, bow in this. On the front, I'm just attached to the lip. On the back, all my weight's on the plywood panel itself. Okay. And nice and flush there. Okay, this bow is pretty prominent still from here in the bottom. So I'll go to the top of that bow, the highest point of that bow. Start bringing this in. Feels like it was snagged there on something. Now on this side, I actually have a bow going in. Like I said, really crappy plywood. So let's just fix that. Is that gonna fit? Nope. Alexia. All right. I'm all flush. Go ahead and put in the rest of the screws. There you go. The hutch is pretty much done. Now again, on this one, we are going to have a piece of 2 1/4 trim that's going to go, well, it's going to be 2 1/4. That's going to bow to 3/4 of an inch, or up 3/4 of an inch. I could put a stringer here to keep this square, and I might do that. I don't know. Like I said, I'll cross that bridge when I get there, but most likely I will. So now those 2 pieces are done. All right, so now I'm ready to start trimming out the base here. I've got basically some poplar cut, and it's rough cut at least to the lengths that I need it. And what I've got here is I've got one piece, these are about 10 inches. I've got one that's 10 1/4, one that's 13 and a half, another that's 13 and a half, and one that's 19. And I'm going to cut all these, I'm going to plane these down, join them, plane them, and then rip them to 2 1/4 inch widths into strips to use on for trim on this box. Okay, so I've got the trim cut for this. These shorter pieces here are going to be the rails for each side. And I've got 6 longer pieces here that are going to serve as the stiles for the sides and the front. But they're also going to serve as legs for the unit. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have trim here and trim here. All right, and it's okay. I'm going to glue these flat to these panels and put a couple brad nails in them. That's going to hold just fine. But here on the front, that's why we have these pocket hole screws, because you don't have much meat to be glued to. So I'm going to turn this up on its side like so. And just apply a liberal amount of glue here. I'm going to have an overhang at the bottom on this leg, okay? That's going to be this leg. So I'll go ahead and perfect this upper portion here, and then again on the bottom. And that'll be good for that. Now I'll come back here to the front and do the same. I'm going to align the edge of this trim with the front edge of this plywood. I'll use a little block here to make sure that I'm there. Make sure everything's lined up nice and perfect. Now I'm going to go to the opposite side and do the same. Same on the front of the side. Okay, Well, either when that happens, ran out of brad nails. All right, so there we've got the beginning of what's going to be the trim and legs on the sides. Okay, there you have it. Now I'm just going to very quickly, and just for a few minutes, going to clamp these on under a little pressure here. Just until this glue dries. It won't take long, maybe 10 minutes. Just so I know that I have a good contact here, and anywhere I see where my pieces aren't making full contact, I'll come here and clamp this. Alright. Come to the back, to the same on the back. You gonna help me? Mm-hmm. All right. Put glue all the way down here, right there.
Okay. Right like this?
Uh-huh.
I'm not very good at it.
Okay, more glue. All the way down. There you go, I'll get the far edge. Just like that. Nice.
Sorry, Dad.
Oh, it's okay. You're fine. Here, let's smear it around a little bit. Spread the glue around. Okay, don't push it.
Okay.
Don't push it.
This will be loud.
Huh?
This will be loud.
It's loud, but just for a second. Boom. That's fine. Good job.
Nothing, Dad.
All right, again, I'll just come to one corner. If your trim's off a little bit, you can always sand the end of it or use a flush trim bit on your router. Whatever you prefer. Okay, there's one side. Same thing on the other side. Okay, that's both sides. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to clamp this trim on. Make sure I get nice, good contact all the way. Now the trim on the base of my hall tree is now dry. It's been dry under clamp for quite a while now. Remember, I've got 2 stiles left, which are going to go in the front. Okay, and then I've got 4 rails which are going to go on the sides, and 2 rails that are going to go in the front. Let's start with the rails that are going to go on the side. Now on the side of the unit, I'm going to keep these rails basically just square, rectangular. That is, I'm not going to put a curve in the bottom like we're going to do in the front. My bottom. Top. I'm just going to ever so slightly try and sneak up on my fit here. This bottom was pretty good. I'll glue this in. Remember, we've only got, behind this, we've only got the 3/4 of an inch of the ply to adhere to, which is why we put pocket hole screws in the bottom of the unit, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and line those up with that plywood. Just like that. And I'm gonna let that glue dry a little bit, not totally, just a little bit, and get it nice and strong on there, and then I'll put the pocket hole screws in from the bottom. Now this top one, we can glue the whole thing. It's not going anywhere. Short enough, I'm not going to have to clamp it. Just make sure that you're aligned. And that'll go in there just like that. Same thing on the other side. Right, that's pretty tight. Both of those are actually perfect. First try, that's a first. A little bit of glue. Kind of finesse this in. Top one we can glue all the way around, or all the way. And there we have the other side. Now we've got to trim the front. Now I've got two styles here for the front. We're going to match these up with the edges of the trim on the side. And yes, I do realize that that visually effectively makes this front style on the side look wider than the rear style. I know that. Been doing it this way for a long time, and I've just continued doing it this way. And my customers seem to like it, so. Alright, since this is the front, I'll go ahead and get this aligned. You want to make sure you have as little overhang as possible. You just want to flush up the side style and the front style as much as you can. The grab nails are going in just to hold this in place for now. This is going to be painted, so I'm not worried about those holes. All right, and there we've got our front styles, okay? But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to clamp these, and then I'm gonna put the pocket hole screws in from the back. Okay, so now we're gonna put in our bottom style, or our bottom rails. And our bottom rails are gonna go in basically here. I cut them a little long, as you can see, but no biggie. They're gonna go in here, but they're gonna be curved, okay? They're gonna have a curve at the bottom of this. Now, I'm at that junction. I said we'd cross that bridge when we got there. Well, we're there. The decision on whether or not to put a stringer here at the top of this. And so I'm gonna check my dimensions here. I'm 15 5/8 in the back. And it looks like I'm a 16th off here on this top. So I don't think I'm gonna put a stringer in. What I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna use my clamp to close this gap up. Since it's just a 16th of an inch, I'm just gonna use my clamp to bring that 16th of an inch in so that I can measure for, that's it right there. So I can measure for this top style. So here's the piece of what I'm going to use for this top style. I'll just put it here and mark it from the back is my top. All right, let's cut this to length. That should fit in there nicely. No play really at all. So I can take this off now, I don't need it. But what I do need to do is I need to cut the curve in this rail here, this front middle rail. Now guys, I don't get overly complicated with this. I cut this first to width because I need to know the center. So I'm at, the center of this is exactly 14. So I'm going to mark the center here about 3/4 of an inch up. I'm gonna mark it at 7. I need a sharper pencil. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to decide which side I want the front to be. And I think it's 6 to 1/2 a dozen the other. So all I'm gonna do is I've got some very small number 6 wood screws here. And I'm gonna come in just about 1/8 of an inch in each direction from these corners. And I'm gonna put a screw right there, about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch in, and just screw it in enough so it holds. You can use some small nails for this too. I don't like to overly complicate it. One thing I'm also going to do, right where I made that mark at 7, I'm going to make another mark at, on that same line, I'm going to make a mark at 3/4. And this pencil is crap. Try that again. So at 3/4, just going to make a mark right there. Okay, so what you should have is your 2 screws here, and then right in the center, you'll have a mark 3/4 of an inch up. And all I'm gonna do is I've got this really thin piece of poplar that I cut yesterday when we were building the bookcase. And I'm gonna lay it under these screws. And then from the middle, I'm going to pull it up to make that curve. And I'm just gonna use my awl to punch a hole right at that 3/4 and 7 inch mark I made. And I'll drive that in, and there we've got our curve. So now all I have to do is mark the curve there. And we're going to repeat this process for the remaining 2 rails that go on the front of this unit. But for right now, we're only dealing with the base. So let's look at this bottom one. Go ahead and mark this for length. Make sure we fit. And we do. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this one, or I can cut this one on the bandsaw and then use this one as a template. But there's this thing about compounding errors. And when you have one error in one piece and you use that to make another piece, the other piece is going to have those errors copied over to it, but that other piece is also going to have some errors of its own. So you're going to have twice the number of errors on that second piece you use. And then if you use that piece to cut another one, you're going to add to it. And you're just going to continue to compound errors as you go. So on this one, I'm just going to do the same thing. And I'll mark it 7, and then mark at 3/4 up. And that's where my awl is going to go. Very easy. Nothing terribly exciting or difficult here. Okay, there's your curve. And mark it. The top one is it is a wider piece of trim that goes at the top. We'll do that one the same way, but we'll do it when we get to the hutch. So for now, I'm just going to go to my bandsaw and I'm going to cut these out. Okay, so I've got both rails now. I've cut them out on my bandsaw and sanded them down with my spindle sander. Here's my top, here's my bottom, and they're going to go just like this. Now this bottom one, I'm not too worried about because we do have all those pocket holes on the underside that we're going to use to secure this. However, this top one, I don't have any need really to attach this to anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill 2 pocket holes in the top one, and then we'll clamp it and pocket hole it together, and it'll be super sturdy. Remember the holes that you made when you were doing your bins? Just remember to put those on the inside. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to prepare by getting myself a clamp. Should have known that wasn't going to fit, didn't fit the first time. Go ahead and put just a little bit of glue here on these seams. It's probably enough for both. Okay, just like so. Just going to apply a little bit of clamping pressure until I get this exactly. I'm going to have to move this. Sorry guys, but I got to see what I'm doing. Just to get this exactly where I want it. It's good there. Now we'll put the bottom one in. And the bottom one, the top of your rail is going to be flush, or I'm going to make it flush with my ply, and then I'm going to come up just about a 1/16 of an inch to create an ever so slight lip on the inside. It's not there for anything, any reason except to hide any imperfection in the edge of that ply. Okay? I'm going to put glue on all 3 surfaces here. On the stiles, as well as on the plywood. Glue it everywhere. All right, now just go ahead and remember the holes that you made for your curve, put those in the back. And then let's just get this thing in. And again, that back side, we're just going to have just an ever so slight 1/16 of an inch lip there. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and clamp this one in. Once I'm happy with where it's at, bugs are starting to come out. All right. And now using these pocket holes that we drilled earlier, go ahead and secure that trim on that side. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I have just a little bit of a warp in this poplar that's translating over to this edge. Had I done a really fantastic job of jointing and planing all this stuff beforehand, wouldn't have this problem, but I didn't. So I'm gonna do a little bit of finished carpentry stuff here, and I'm gonna toenail this in. I'm gonna even it up, and I'm gonna toenail it in with a brad nail, just to hold that in place while I put these pocket hole screws in. I'm going to use my clamp here to hold this in place. Here where I've toenailed, just for a minute or two, just to let that glue. When you clamp glued pieces of wood together, I know the bottle says 20-30 minutes, but when you clamp them together really tight, the glue dries super fast. So I'm just going to leave that for a good 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to move on. Okay, here we have now the base of what's going to be this hall tree. Then we're going to have our top, which we still got to finish our top. Okay, but our top will go there. This will be our top / seat. Then our hutch is going to go on top, like so. And you can see that we're starting to look like a hall tree, but for little people. Not little people, kids, or little people. Anybody who's short enough to use it, basically. But now we've got to finish the hutch. So let's work on that. Now I've got the majority of the hutch trimmed out. I've just got to do the side rails, which again, I'm going to do these square. in the same fashion. So I'll start here at the bottom. Mark my bottom rail. Mark my top rail. If you can position yourself to mark these from underneath, it's easier. Okay, here's this one. That's a little tight. This one's also a little tight. I'm just going to take a hair off of each of these. Clean up this glue real quick. When you need to take off just a hair, the easiest way to do that is to bring, with your miter saw off, bring your miter saw blade down, take your piece and just butt it up against the blade, bring the blade back up, turn it on and come down, and you'll shave just a hair off each end. Okay. Still a little tight there. And perfect. Let's go ahead and glue those on. Just to limit the amount of bad nails, holes I have to fill, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clamp this in place for now. Here. Just to give this a good clamping. And in just a few minutes that'll be dry. And that's one less brad nail hole I have to fill later. I'll go ahead and do this other side. All right, that's good. Okay, while those are drying, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put on these front rails. And I did not, I forgot to put pocket holes in here to hold on these front rails. But thinking about it, I don't think I really want to anyways. Because you'd see them, because they are kind of eye level, or will be close enough to eye level. So I think I'm just gonna use a generous amount of glue, a few brad nails, and it should be fine. Okay, here's my rail for this side. Just like before, just going to perfect this. I'm a little long on some of these at the top, which is not a big deal. I'll just either sand or use a flush trim bit on my router. But down here at the bottom, I want to be perfect. So I'm aligning this perfectly to the bottom, and the top I know is going to be a little off, and that's okay. We'll fix it later. Let me grab a clamp. Because I'm relying on mostly just glue here on this front, I'm going to clamp it down pretty good and let it dry. Same thing here on this side. I'm going to align this trim here with the bottom. All right, I'm just gonna give that a few minutes to dry, and then we'll put on our top rail. The bottom's not gonna get a rail. We'll put the top rail on, and we'll finish this thing up. Now, my top rail on the top of this hutch is gonna be 4 inches. Everything else was 2 1/4, but this one at the top I'm making 4 inches because it looked good on my drawing. Now, before I cut this to length, I want to make sure, I want to come to the back of my box here and measure the inside. And I am at 15 9/16. I want to make sure that I'm the same distance here before I measure for this top rail, or I'm going to have to use some clamps to spread this or clamp it together before I take a measurement. I'll measure the top, and I'm at 15 9/16. So I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is set this on here and measure it. This edge is a little out of square. I'm going to clean it up. All right, that's a nice good fit there. Now, just to rinse and repeat if we did what we did before, I'm going to get my 2 number 6 screws and my little piece of poplar here from earlier. Again, about 1/8 of an inch in each direction. I'm just gonna screw this in about 1/8 of an inch until it feels pretty firm. Okay, I'll measure this. This is 14. No surprise there. So we'll come in once again and mark at 7, and then mark again vertically at 3/4. And same thing, just rest your strip here. Make sure your strip is uniform. Cut yourself a nice uniform strip so it bends evenly. Go ahead and set my awl there and mark it. Cut this on the bandsaw. All right, same as before, there's no meat anywhere for this to attach to. We're gonna have to attach directly to the stiles here on the front. So I'm gonna drill 2 pocket holes on each side, and then we'll secure it that way. For those of you at Craig watching, or the friend of the person at Craig watching. I'm using your 700. It's working out beautifully. So far, so good. You stop hating me now. There you have it. Get myself a clamp ready. A little bit of glue on each end of these. Not too much. Don't have to go crazy. More glue doesn't necessarily mean better. The humidity has really done a number on my clamps here. Just going to get this as perfect as I can. Feels pretty good. All right. All right, everything should be pretty dried up by now. So I'm going to go ahead and take all my clamps off. What's wrong? You look like you've been crying. Have you been crying? Huh? Your face and eyes are all red. Okay, and here is the hutch portion of our hall tree. So let's get everything together and kind of see what it's going to look like. Okay, here's our base, all right? And on top of the base, we're going to have this seat. Now, I'm going to finish this seat with just some edge banding here. If you wanted to do something really special, you could always basically cut yourself some thin strips, maybe even a little thicker than this one we used to do the curve, and put a real wood veneer or edge on these. You could do that. It would certainly look nice. I'm not going to. I'm just going to edge band this with some regular birch edge banding, I think. And then, so this will be our seat. And on top of our seat will go our hutch. And then, on top of our hutch, will go another top that will serve as the top of the hall tree. Let me pull the camera back a little bit. And there you have it, a child's hall tree, or a hall tree for somebody shorter. Seth, hop up here real quick. Seth, hop up here real quick.
No? You got it?
All right, stand up next to the sink. All right, here's what it looks like with a 14-year-old. You're 14, right?
I'm late.
You're 8? This is what it looks like with an 8-year-old. So basically, you see the height. We'll put a hook inside here, and that's really it. The only thing that we still have left to do, and you can do this a couple ways, is attach the hutch to the base. Now, one way we could do that is here on the inside bottom. Let me pull it down so you can see it. Here on the inside bottom, we can do some 1-inch cleats here, or some 3/4-inch cleats, and then screw them into the sides of the hall tree, and then screw them vertically into the top of this. Or you could pocket hole this and put it in that way. You could also use some threaded inserts. I mean, there's a lot of ways to attach this top to this base, but I'm not going to, at least not yet. I'm going to paint everything first. Well, paint and finish. I'm going to do the tops in some sort of stain and polyurethane, and then I'm going to do the base of the hutch and the base of the unit in paint, just probably white paint or something cute, I guess. And then I'll assemble everything. But for now, we are done. This is our hall tree. Perfect for a shorter person. Guys, if you like this video, I'm going to edit this video, and then I will upload the plans. I've got to finish up the plans. We're going to double check some numbers and some measurements, but then I'll upload the plans to the webbranch.com. Click on downloads, and this will be the child's or mini hall tree. Okay, and you can download that and then follow along with me. Now I just have a whole lot of sanding and finishing and touch-up work to do on this, but otherwise we're done. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. Oh, I almost forgot. Here it is next to the bookcase we built last night. I don't have the shelved in it yet, but there you go.